Good afternoon. Welcome to Project Positive Planet. Today joining me is JoAnn and Sallie. We will be discussing Keep Travel Dreaming and Plan Your Future Wellness Business. Episode 3. Joining me is Sallie Fraenkel, President of Mind Body Spirit Network, JoAnn Kurtz-Ahlers, President and founder of Hidden Doorways Travel Collection. And I am Stephanie Rest, founder of We Consulting and Caribbean We. Welcome, ladies. Good afternoon.
Hello, Stephanie. Hello, JoAnn. It's such a pleasure to be back with you again and to welcome JoAnn Kurtz-Ahlers. I cannot tell you how excited I am today to have JoAnn with us. For those of you who do not know JoAnn, JoAnn is an extraordinary travel professional. She has many years in the business, and I believe that she was considered one of the 100 most influential travel people in the world by Luxury Travel Agent magazine. I have the very good fortune to call JoAnn not only a colleague, but a dear friend. So hi, JoAnn, and welcome.
Sallie, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And Stephanie, it's a pleasure to be here with you. And I applaud you for organizing these ways for people to get together and communicate and learn.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is our third episode, and I certainly do enjoy doing this. And today is particularly near and dear to my heart because JoAnn is one of the very first people that I met early on in my days at Spa Finder. And I will just say a quick moment that I had the good fortune to attend a virtuoso. It was then called, I believe, Travel Mart. I think now it's Travel Week. But here I was at this big virtuoso conference in Las Vegas, knowing no one, not a single soul. And this lovely redheaded, friendly woman said hello to me and talked to me. And I was so grateful, I cannot even tell you. And that was just the beginning. So today we have JoAnn here with us to help us do a little travel dreaming. And I think, JoAnn, what do you think if we start off with a little video that helps us all dream a little bit?
Sure, why not? That'd be great.
Okay.
Here's a video from Hidden Doorways, Discover, Dream, Deliver.
These are peculiar times. This is uncharted territory. To stop, we've been asked to stay and to take shelter. But perhaps if we'll allow it, this obstacle can become an opportunity. The moment where downtime becomes dream time. Much needed pause, a deep breath, a chance to look inward and onward and allow ourselves to really dream. Dream with our hearts and our minds, our spirits and our souls. Dream of the places we long to see and the people we long to hold. Dream of beaches we long to comb, new cities that we'll call home for a while. New delicacies that we will taste and adventures that we will chase. Dream of mountains we will scale and oceans that we will sail together. Dream of all that lies ahead, each new horizon, twist and turn. Dream of ways to reinvent, innovate, grow and learn. Dream of ways to do things better, to rise up further still. May we be flooded with gratitude for journeys gone before and filled with hope for journeys to come once more. Because make no mistake, we will get through it. And against all odds, despite shutdowns, cancellations, and losses, we will be those who rose above and blossomed. Until things settle and we find ourselves on the other side of change, we will be here dreaming, and we hope that you'll do the same.
That made me a little teary. Well, that was beautiful. Sallie, I think you're muted. JoAnn, that was beautiful. How inspirational. I think we're all missing travel, and that probably touched our hearts a little bit.
It sure did.
Oh, well,
Can you hear me, Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say that Hidden Doorways is the name of JoAnn's company. For those who may not know, I'm just blown away by that video, and I was hoping, JoAnn, you could tell us a little bit about the video, how it came to be, and how it might be being used now.
Well, you know, when the shutdown first started and everything was just kind of frozen, we're fortunate. We had 40 clients, and you know, a good amount of them were shut down, and some were paying us, some weren't paying us. But I started to think about the people that were paying us, and I started to think about, like, what are we going to do for them? I mean, we're just all sitting here, and they have these beautiful places all around the world. And I thought, well, if we can't go to them, we can certainly dream about them. And how can we dream about them? And I thought, I'm going to work on a video. I happen to have a great guy that, you know, I've worked with before, and I just emailed him and I said, Stuart, we need to create a video, and we need to do it fast because I want to get it out there. So we did it in a week.
Wow.
Are those images from properties that you work with?
Yeah. So when he first put it together, he had like a lot of stock images, and I closed my eyes and I thought, this could be a Delta commercial. Like, he had all, you know, airports and airplanes, and there was no properties and no places. And I'm like, okay, Stuart, we've got to pull video of our, you know, properties. And so all of the videos are places that we represent. And it was great. I mean, sometimes, you know, for hotels, any of the hotels out there, when I was in a hotel, you know, our PR people used to say, oh, you know, if you don't have great images, if you don't have great video, and then video was always so expensive to create, so there was never a budget for it. But I have learned, being on the other side, that the properties that I have that have the video and have the images always get requested and used, because at the end of the day, that's what's so important.
Yeah.
So
We have a request from Chris Torgeson. Can she share this video with her clients?
Absolutely. In fact, to Sally's question, we have had maybe a dozen requests where people have actually gone out to their own clients with the video and said, you know, just a little something to help you dreaming of travel, and when you're ready, we're here, kind of thing. And you know, we're really excited when people do that, because the purpose, as you can see, like, the last slide has our company name, but there's no website address. None of the properties are mentioned, because we didn't want to make it commercial. We wanted to, the purpose was to get people dreaming of travel. So if it can help anyone get anyone to travel, then that's its reason for being.
And what could be better, since the subject of our webinar is travel, dreaming, and planning? I'd like to, JoAnn, acknowledge some of the people that are with us today. And a lot of people are saying that they really love the video and think it's absolutely beautiful. And thanks to Stephanie, she's already shared the link. So I want to welcome Gertrude from Puerto Rico, and Pat from West Palm Beach, and Kate from Toronto. Maria, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, Marilia is calling from Madeira Island in Portugal. Yeah, Becky is calling from Central Colorado, Salida. We have Jessica, who's loved your video. Michelle is here from the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. Of course, Chris is in Minnesota. Wolfgang in Belize, Maureen in Brooklyn, Constanza in Costa Rica. Anyway, I think, and Jackie in Boston. We have Andrea from Canada, Camille from upstate New York. We'll stop with that so that we could keep going. But I just think it's wonderful to have such a wonderful representation from all over the United States and globally. So that we can all travel, dream, and plan a little bit. We have Tanya from Orlando. But let's move on a little. And thank you so much for letting us share that video. I'm going to put it out on my social media. It definitely gets me excited. And shows the possibilities and all the things that we still want to see and the places left to explore. But let me ask you a couple questions, JoAnn. So you have been in the travel business for a while, and I consider you one of the foremost specialists in wellness travel. And I'd like to ask your point of view on what do you see in terms of wellness travel globally? What are some of the things that are capturing your attention?
Well, I mean, so of course, I'm a big fan of wellness and travel, and I spent 3 years in a yoga monastery like many years ago. So everything having to do with wellness on all levels is near and dear to my heart. In terms of wellness itself, for the immediate future, it makes me sad because so many properties are opening without their spas, and the whole protocol around the spa is still being figured out. But, I am excited about things that can still be done around wellness, things that have to do with meditation, with sound healing, with even Thai massage that's clothed. There are things that people can still explore in wellness, and maybe it's not the whole giant menu that was out there, but I think some profound wellness experiences will exist in the immediate future. But in terms of travel, before all of this happened, I had a group of agents going with me to Madagascar and Zimbabwe. And I was so excited because there are two countries that I've never been to. And my list of places I've never been to is...
Wait a minute. I've actually been to one country you haven't been to. I didn't want to embarrass you by making you tell us how many countries you've been to. But I always say that JoAnn is my best traveled friend in the entire world. So you haven't been yet to Zimbabwe?
I haven't. And I was so excited because I actually have someone that used to work for us, married someone from there and moved from Laguna Beach to Zimbabwe, American girl from Virginia. And I was so excited to, be able to see her too. But anyway, it's, those places are still on my wish list. But I think for the immediate future, like many travelers, we may be a little closer to home.
Yeah.
And, we see a lot of requests coming in, but, and we do see some, ones overseas. So I'm excited about those too. We've gotten a few honeymoons for the Maldives, starting in October. I had a request for Costa Rica today for later this month, but, and a lot of the properties, they're wanting to open, but their governments are not, there's not enough information. They keep changing, we're open, we're not open, we're open, so it's hard to make plans that way, but we're feeling, so far this month, we've had 25 requests in general.
Wow. Have any of those, that's really remarkable, of those requests, have all of them been international or any of them domestic, JoAnn?
Yeah, so I would say, 80% are domestic, and we've never specialized in domestic. We've always had, more international, but, at this time, I'm so happy that I have some things to sell, because the international ones, we're selling them, but there's a little uncertainty, like with, let's say, the Maldives, they think they're going to open like late summer, but again, they don't know. And then once the government says they're open, then what's with the airlines, who's flying and how do you get there? And, there's a lot of factors that are going on, but yeah, so we're finding our domestic, most of the agents are very interested in our domestic products.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a look at some of those. I want to just say that for those of you who are with us on this call, if you have any knowledge of spas at properties that have actually opened that you've seen, please put that in the chat. We were all chatting before this call, talking a little bit about the Breakers, which is in Palm Beach, which will be opening, I believe May 22nd is the date they announced. And Stephanie, you were telling us that the property will open, but the spa has not yet announced their opening. Is that correct?
That is what I've heard, but could change for sure.
Yeah.
I do know of other spas opening, and they're opening to 100% of nail services, hair services, and 60% of massages are booked. So there's definitely hope out there.
Oh, wow. And Rosemary just shared with us Sue Harmsworth's Spa Protocols and Immediate Openings webinar, which I know some of us were on. Rosemary, who just shared, happens to work at Mirbeau, which is in Skaneateles. I wrote a blog this week. I've been sharing with everybody my plan for travel, which is I'm going to go see some places in New York and Massachusetts that I've never been because they're so close that I just have never done it. And Skaneateles, Mirbeau in Skaneateles is one of them. And I actually was in touch with them today, and they are working on their reopening plan. However, much like what we just talked about, the property will open, but they don't know when the spa and the restaurant will open. So I'm going to keep my eye on that, and we'll be sharing all that as we learn. But why don't we, JoAnn, we have a PowerPoint, and I think it would be wonderful. Let's look at that for a few minutes because there are a few more properties in here that I think will be fun to dream about and talk about. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Thank you, Stephanie.
So this is just our whole collection.
Would you?
And certainly it's a lot of properties. We're not going over these today, but I just wanted to highlight that, as you can see, we don't have a lot domestically, but we did pull them out. So I just wanted to, highlight the whole grouping. And, I have been in touch with every single country and property on this page in the last, since we've been locked up. And, it's been very humbling to hear about, the closing plan and the employees and feeding the employees and all the things that people are doing, especially in Africa, what they have to do to support their teams. But we can go to the next slide. So
tell us about these 5 properties. I know we're gonna, or maybe it's 6. No, it's 5. I can't. The yellow type.
There's
I see
5, and actually there's one missing that I see that I missed, but I will touch on that. So the first 3 are domestic: Brush Creek Ranch in Wyoming, Malibu Beach in Malibu, Twin Farms in Vermont. I threw in the Brando because Tahiti has done an amazing job with the whole COVID-19 situation. We're getting a lot of requests for the Brando, and we're getting a lot of requests for Heckfield Place, which is near Heathrow, outside of London. So I'm going to touch on why in a minute. The one missing is we have a new, and the reason it's missing is because it's called Mustang Monument, and it's in Nevada, Northwest Nevada, but you access it through Salt Lake City. And it's about 90 minutes. And it's the woman that founded it is she rescued like 250 Mustang horses that were going to be slaughtered. And then the horses started having babies, and now she has, I don't know how many hundreds of Mustangs. And she opened like 5 years ago for one season. She ran into a fight with the Bureau of Land Management, had to sue them, took many years. She has 600,000 acres, and she has 20 accommodations, and she's going to open up the ranch in mid-June. So that's going to be a really fun outdoor, feeding the horses, hiking, just a very beautiful experience.
Wow.
And
sounds incredible. We're going to look at a few pictures. I think that will show us. I think I saw a couple of pictures. Yeah,
I should have included that. But anyway, we can go to the next.
There's also another one that I know that I don't see on here that I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about, and that's going to be Shosukeban House.
Yes, yes. Okay, good. I will mention that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So let's hear a little
yeah.
about Brush Creek, the lodge and spa at Brush Creek Ranch.
So Brush Creek, and I'm not going to, I'm not here to sell you on the properties. I'll just touch on them and let you know why we're getting requests. So Brush Creek is actually made up of 3 different ranches, but because the owner owns about 160 other properties, this was a passion project, and he had to close a lot of the properties. I think he's concerned about, how busy they will be. But from our perspective, we're getting so many requests that I feel they'll be pretty busy. But of course, everything has to be distanced, so you can never be as full as, let's say you were. So he's going to open up the main Brush Creek Ranch, and not the other 2 places. But we can change the slide. So this is accessed via Denver. It's about a 3-hour drive. You can fly there to an area called Laramie. But the thing is, by the time you wait for the flight and then you fly and you still have an hour and a half, it is really easy to just get a car and drive. It's a very remote place. He owns thousands and thousands of acres, tons of areas to fish, and you can change the slide. My favorite things about Brush Creek are the amount of things that are outdoors and indoors. Like, for instance, let's say you go somewhere like a ranch and it rains. Well, he has an indoor riding rink, as well as, you can ride outdoors, but if it's raining, you can ride indoors. He has an outdoor shooting range, and he has an indoor shooting range. So there's just a lot to do. There's a, huge dining area, cooking classes. They do have a spa here as well, which is always nice. They do yoga. So it's kind of like,
what did you say was you think the opening date for Brush Creek will be?
It'll be in June, early June.
And you think that's firm, or?
I do think it's firm, because they went back and forth, and it is firm. I just got notice today with all of their COVID procedures that they mailed to past guests. So it's all spelled out. It's on their website. So I think it's a great place to, we're seeing just a lot of people wanting to know that there's a lot of space and they can be outside, basically.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. Next slide.
Gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
So McGee Homestead, you can keep going, because that's another ranch that this part is private with 9 accommodations, but it's not going to open. Malibu Beach Inn never closed. So we've had a lot of requests. We've had a lot of people in the LA area that, let's say they live, not on the ocean, which most people don't live on the ocean in LA, because it's quite expensive. But we have people, even families, where the husband will stay with the kids and then the wife will check in for a few days and the wife will go back and the husband will check in, because all the rooms have ocean views or balconies over the ocean. And I think people, crave, like, our beaches are closed. So, like, you can't go to the ocean here. And so, if I didn't have 2 big dogs, I would check into the Malibu Beach Inn, because it's just to be able to be so close to the ocean and smell the salt water and all that. So they've been doing rooms.
So when you say they're open, I'm sorry to interrupt you, just to understand, are they booking all 47 rooms, or are they limiting the bookings? How are they running things right now?
Well, first of all, I don't think they have like 100% like that many requests. Like, I would say their requests are more, probably like in the 50% range. But so they haven't had a limit. But they do, like, the restaurants are closed, but they do room service, and they do 24-hour room service, and they've expanded their room service menu. So it's, instead of being more snacky, it's, more dining, because obviously previously there's a ton of restaurants in Malibu, and they had a really nice restaurant in the hotel. So there was no reason to have so much extensive room service. But it's doing really well. They have huge, cleaning protocols, and they had to be really ready, with being able to do this. And it's, a real success story in that regard. And they're very good about sharing their protocols. In fact, it's been nice because I've been able to share their protocols with other properties that we have that are independent, that don't have a lot of resources. If you're part of a chain or a big brand, all that's kind of, told to you. But if you're independent, you have to figure it out and try to get resources. So I've been able to put together some of, my hotels to talk to each other and share best practices with the Malibu Beach.
Are you willing to share the protocols for Malibu Beach Inn with us?
Yes,
or is that
yes,
I think it would give a lot of us, I think when we think about travel planning, I think peace of mind and confidence and trust are so important. And the more we can educate ourselves to see what, Malibu Beach Inn has been doing, and they've been open all along, and obviously, very successfully opened. I think to see those protocols would be tremendously helpful.
Happy to do it. They sent it out, to a lot of their guests. And I think what's good about it is, let's say, you're not interested. Let's say you're a hotelier, it's good to share best practices. If you're an agent, even if you're not interested in Malibu Beach Inn, just the protocols are good questions to be able to ask another property. Like, what are your protocols? Yeah. What are you doing? And all of that. The other thing, just if anyone's interested, on Thursday, it made me think that we're having a call with a pandemic expert. And I've asked her to come and talk about, what's going on what can be done in the travel industry, debunking a lot of things that, are not true, that are confusing, as it relates to travel. Like, for instance, she thinks planes are really clean, like they're not a source of disease, that they'll be amazing. But she says, like, the airports, you have to be more cautious in the airport, but not on the plane, which to me, that was like great to hear, because, in my mind, germs and people, and you're closed in and all of that. So anyone that's interested in that, I can send that link to Stephanie. It's Thursday, 4:00 Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully we'll all learn something.
Oh, JoAnn, please, I will definitely be there. Please share that with us all. And I think the fact, this is one of the things that I respect about you most, and there are so many, but the fact that you would go and find an expert on pandemics to debunk information. And right now we're getting so much information, and it's so difficult with all that's going on in life in general to know who do we trust. I know that I've always found you to be a trusted resource, and that webinar sounds great. So thank you for that. Should we look at the next property?
Sure, absolutely. We can keep
this is so exciting.
flipping through. And again, the properties are just, so you can see how you can see the ocean, and you can see why, like, especially people locked up in LA that can get here, or even Orange County, I mean, people aren't flying in to go so much, but at least, it's drivable. And we've gotten a lot of Northern California people coming down to Southern California, just because it's, warmer and sunnier here, and just, being by the ocean. So we can keep going.
And you can go out on that beach.
Well, okay. So technically you're not supposed to go on the beach. However, you can go on the beach because no one's really there, telling you otherwise. So if you walk down there, the hotel's not going to stop you, and probably no one's, down there to tell you to get off. Yeah. So the beaches here are dramatic, because I'm sure a lot of people saw the images when there were 6 zillion people on the beach the other weekend. So everybody got in trouble, and they blocked off all the access, except if you're a hotel on the beach, you have access. Okay. Twin Farms is in Vermont, and it's 3 hours from Boston, and it's about 5-hour drive from New York. The thing I think that is making this so appealing, it's opening at the end of May, is there are 20 accommodations that are standalone. And so again, people can check in. They don't have to go to a lobby. They've spaced out the dining, and you can get room service, but it's that's a fall shot and not a summer shot. But it's just a beautiful place. They have bicycle riding, and you can go into this beautiful, quaint town, and there's lakes, and anyway, it has a lot of people obviously nearby that can get there from, especially with the New York Boston corridor. So this has been one of our most popular sellers. They were farm to table before there was a concept of farm to table. They've always been relais chateau. But that on the bottom right is just one of the accommodations. This one's called Avery. It has a lot of windows, and it's 2 stories. And there's a huge bathtub in the middle of the bedroom, which I love, made out of stone. It's one of my favorite ones. But each one is so unique, and each one has a different name. And
wait, let's stay on Twin Farms for 1 second before we jump to Heckfield Place. I also just want to say that if anybody has any questions, I like to make these webinars interactive because I know how we all feel when we, so if you have any questions at all for JoAnn or for me or for Stephanie, we're happy to take questions. I should have said that earlier on. But JoAnn, my question for you around Twin Farms is, if one goes up there soon, it's so funny. Sienna says she lives in Jamaica, but she wants to go back to Vermont. Jamaica, the island Jamaica, obviously. I'm wondering if you're sending guests there now or when they reopen in a few weeks, what would you do up there right now?
Well, if I was going, I would go hiking. I would ride bikes to the town. I would eat the most amazing, gorgeous food, a lot of it, grown there, and just partake in this wide open, beautiful, location. I would go into the town. I don't know what's open in the town. I don't know the Vermont things, but now that you're asking me that, I'm going to find that out because they have a beautiful, like, glass blowing, amazing factory that's there. Oh,
yes, I'm fierce. I love that.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of the name of it. Thank you.
Yeah. I just want to say, Stephanie, is everyone on mute? Because I'm hearing a phone ringing here. Oh, we can't hear you, Stephanie.
I'm on mute. I'm not sure who's ringing.
Oh, okay, we just like to ask everybody if you're not on mute yourself because we're hearing the phone ringing.
It wouldn't be a guest. It would be one of the 3 of us.
Oh, okay. Well, no problem as long as everybody else can hear. So yeah, JoAnn, let us know if you find out, not to give you any more assignments because you've got plenty to do, but do you believe that they will be doing spa treatments in Rome at Twin Farm? Is that a possibility?
They're not going to open their spa.
Oh, okay.
They're not going to open their spa. But, but that's a good question in terms of that I need to explore in terms of like what kind of workout things beside hiking might be available, because they could probably do an outdoor yoga class or,
kayaking or paddleboarding.
Yeah. I'm gonna find that out or send it.
Okay, great. It's fun to kind of imagine when we think about these places reopening. Part of this, to me, also visualizing. Obviously, I know I would have a great night of sleep. Look at that bedroom; it's spectacular, and no question, I'd eat well, which I pretty much have been doing way too much of this whole quarantine. But for me, I keep dreaming about. What other new and different activities will I be able to do when I go away? What won't I be able to do? What are new activities that I might partake of that I had not thought of in the past? I love the idea of outdoor yoga, outdoor meditation, especially when you're in a setting as spectacular as all of these settings are,
Yeah, bird watching and
Bird watching. Oh, I love that. I've never done that. Actually, that's not true. I think I did do that. But JoAnn, shall we fly across the pond now?
Yes. So
we're gonna get on an airplane in our heads, because someday we will all get on an airplane again, right, JoAnn?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason I put this one in is because we have been getting a lot of requests, and I think I think people are really attracted to being in the countryside, where there's not a big room count, where they know they can have beautiful organic food, where, they can do outdoor activities. There's a great arborist, and he does amazing tours, and you learn so much about, the trees and the flowers, and, what is biodynamic gardening, and they have greenhouses, like with all different, flowers in one, herbs in another, and then huge vegetable gardens that even I went there in December, and there were giant purple cabbages everywhere, like a field of cabbages, even in like what's considered winter there. So it's great because you can fly into Heathrow. It's, without traffic, it's about 40 minutes, at the most an hour. So it's easy to get to, and just the sheer beauty. There's beautiful ponds. Again, it's just the English countryside, but very accessible. So we've gotten several requests for there, and
Wow.
very excited. And
my goodness, look at this. Oh, I'm dying. Oh.
It is like a fairy tale. And the thing that I love is there is a female general manager. Not that I have anything against any male general managers or any males at all. But it's so detailed in terms of like the room. Like everywhere you look, there's somewhere to put your jewelry, somewhere to, beautiful foods in the room, gorgeous tea, fresh tea in a teapot, and, plus of course, beautiful coffee, not just Nespresso. Nothing against anyone that's connected to Nespresso, but it's just everything in the room is curated. Like, so, they make their own soaps, and they have beautiful organic, body lotions and gorgeous tubs, and, just everything. And the chef is a female chef very famous in London. Her name is Sky. And she was a big hit with her restaurants in London, and she's pretty much still has them, but full time. Full time when they're open at Heckfield, and hopefully they'll be opening in July. And then
now,
finally,
before you jump into this property, we had a comment on Twin Farms I wanted to share, that Becky said she'd like to learn about the trees, plants, and flowers. So in other words, like maybe more of like a horticultural kind of, a horticultural hike, if you will, or a hike that has, or a walk that has that kind of thing. And Rosemary wants to know are there tours to local attractions around Heckfield Place or to London if people want to leave the property, or is this a place that people kind of go and never leave?
It depends on the length of stay. Like if someone's coming, like in the past, and it could be a whole different thing now, but a lot of people were using Heckfield like as part of another trip. So in other words, like maybe they'd fly to London, they'd stay 2 nights or 3 nights, and then they would maybe go off to Africa, or they'd use it at the end of a trip, or they'd use it as a start to other English countryside. So people, if they stay at least 3 nights, they probably want to spend a half a day out. And yes, they can arrange that. But if it's just a 2-night kind of thing, like they wouldn't want to go anywhere. In fact, I've gotten in trouble when people have stayed 1 night from the clients that felt cheated, Like,
Oh.
yeah, because when it first opened, I was arranging for agents to stay, and a lot of them just had one night, and they were upset that they had to leave. Like they just didn't. They felt like they were, about to sit down for a great meal, and then they were told they had to get up, and the food was on the table, and they were starving, and so I actually discourage people now from staying one night because I know that it's, they'll just want more, and they, and I don't think it's worth saying, you can come back another time here. You can take a little preview because it's actually unsatisfying, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a very good point when we think about, our future travel planning and dreaming, and we don't know how we know some ways travel will change, but one of the things that I sort of hope for is that some travel will slow down. So in the past, when we felt compelled to go from place to place to place to place, that maybe we'll reevaluate some of that. And if we're at a place like any of these places you've shown us, of course, some of them are resorts where you would just go there and not expect to leave. But a place like Hechtfield that is so close to London, really appreciating and settling in there and really, immersing into all it has to offer, I think is such a lovely concept. So
okay, so moving along to
next place.
Last but not least, I threw this one in because we're getting a lot of requests for Tahiti. Early on, like I remember in early March, the Air Tahiti Nui started requesting that if people were going to board the plane, they had to have a certificate from their doctor saying that they had no fever and they were healthy, and it had to be within 5 days of departing. And I remember thinking, God, that's so radical, and it caused a lot of cancellations because people were kind of like, should I be traveling? And then when they made this obstacle to get on the plane, a lot of people said, forget it, not going. But as a result, like they knew they were in Tahiti and it was far away, and and they couldn't be in a position of having a lot of sick people and this island. And so they did a great job. The Brando, of course, is once you land in Tahiti at Papeete, which is the main island and headquarters, you then take a separate plane, which is 20 minutes, and the plane only goes to the Brando, and the island's called Titiaroa, and the plane is called Air Titiaroa. It has its own VIP lounge that you're escorted to, and then you go to this really paradise location. We can flip the slide. The property is all standalone villas. That's just about the flights. So there's flights are mainly LA, San Francisco, and then you can fly from Paris there. But we can. There is one from Honolulu, but it's like once a week. We can flip this, go to the next slide. But mainly what makes the Brandos so special is that all of the villas are on the beach. So there's 35 of them. There is mainly they're one bedroom, so it's never a big dense amount of people, but there are 4 2-bedrooms and 2 3-bedrooms. Wow. But they all sit on the beach, so there's not a bad location. There's not like, it's kind of like the main part of the property is kind of in the middle, and then to the right and left are just the beaches, and then everything sits on the beach. Wow. So it's very easy property. And one side of it, where these people are paddleboarding, one side of it has more coral. So if you're the type of person that wants to just go from your villa and go snorkeling right out your door, and not have to, walk to the other side, which is I like the coral side, because of that. And then the smoother side is good if you do have children and they're walking into the ocean, because it's a smooth sandy bottom. But if you're on the sandy, smooth bottom, you just come to the coral side to snorkel. I personally like to just go out my door and find it a great freedom to do that. But
Wow.
it's one of the most beautiful properties I've ever been to in my life.
Wow.
Because
it is spectacular. I will say to you that I have heard that the Brando is very known for sustainability, that they are extremely environmentally conscious.
you know what? It's amazing. I think the Brando is the most luxurious property that is, the sustainability is equal to the beauty and the luxury.
Yeah.
Marlon Brando was a big visionary on sustainability. The thing is, he wasn't able to implement because he had ideas, but he was so ahead of his time. And he saw Tahiti that, like what was going to happen to the garbage and what was happening to all of the waters and how to protect them. And those were issues that he struggled with, as far back as the 60s. And the thing is, when he was alive, the owner, Dick Bailey, had a lot of conversations with Marlon about sustainability and how to implement that. And Marlon knew about one man that was playing with taking seawater and using it for air conditioning, but it never had been done. It was just a theory. And so they built these giant pipes that go out beyond the coral reef to the bottom of the sea and suck in the cold ocean water, and it goes into the property, and the whole property runs on seawater, which is amazing. But beyond that, they have a scientific research center, and they've eradicated mosquitoes on the island by getting these male mosquitoes that actually, when they mate with female mosquitoes, they die, the females. And so they've eradicated the mosquito population. Wow. And they have, like 25 different initiatives going on all the time. And people study the acidification of the ocean, going there and measuring, how it's going, and, and just all kinds of projects. It's a remarkable place with remarkable people. I'm very proud to be involved with the Brando and all that they do for sustainability in the world.
Yeah, that's really important because, I really think that, their luxury is amazing and incredible, and we all sell it, we all appreciate it, we all love it. But as you said, when it can be paired with that level of environmental responsibility and consciousness, to me, this is, even what you just described, JoAnn, in terms of how Air Tahiti, Nui was conscious of, the disease earlier than many. They're so tuned into the environment around them, both nature and human. I really laud what they're doing. I will say that of the 3 webinars that I've done, this is the first one where I haven't been to any of the properties that my guest has spoken about. So what that just means is that you've given me 5 new places. Actually, it's not true. I have been to the Malibu Inn. I have not stayed as a guest. I've toured it. So that's a little small misstatement, but I have never stayed at any of these 5 properties. And I have to say that you have definitely captured my imagination. And I really do hope to have the good fortune to go to at least one of these, if not all of them. But I'd love to now open up to questions if anybody has any questions, or Stephanie, if there was anything you wanted to add, now that we've seen all of these incredible places. And I've learned quite a lot. So JoAnn, I so appreciate that.
Well, everyone knows I'm an island girl at heart. So the Brando is now high on my list. And we did a little poll, and it seems 50% of the attendees want to also visit the Brando. 28% want to visit Bush Creek, and 21% want to visit Twin Farms.
So, JoAnn, we put that up while you were speaking. That was just my little non-scientific. But of course, who wouldn't want to go to the Brando? Because it's quite exotic, spectacular, and fabulous. But believe me, I would not consider Twin Farms or Brush Creek to be any kind of a consolation prize. This has just been so much fun, and I don't know, Stephanie, is there anything that we have missed?
Well, I think it's been fabulous. JoAnn, any properties that you want to highlight quickly that weren't on this list? Because I know you represent so many.
Also, I want to just acknowledge that people want JoAnn's in contact details. So Stephanie, I don't know, afterwards as a follow-up. But also as a follow-up, maybe we can send out the link to the video, JoAnn's email, and JoAnn, you're going to follow up with us, and I can send out the, or just Stephanie can, those coronavirus guidelines that you referenced earlier from the Malibu Inn. So,
absolutely,
yeah. Always nice to have some very practical takeaways when we spend our time doing this. Anyway.
Here's JoAnn's email in the chat if anyone.
Okay, thank you so much.
JoAnn, any properties that you would like to mention that weren't in the presentation?
Oh, Sugiban House. We're not going to get off. Yes, that was the one. Thank you for reminding us.
JoAnn, are you muted?
Sorry about that. My dog was barking. I didn't want you to hear my dog, so. Yeah, so Sugiban House is an amazing property in the Hamptons, if you're familiar, in an area called Watermill. And it's 13 accommodations. I call the design kind of Japanese / Swedish. It's very clean and very Zen-like. And it's a vision of this woman, Amy, who lived a long time in Japan. It's a new property. It hasn't even been open a year, but it's been closed right now. I believe they're going to open in June, but I don't believe they're opening the spa. But they do have amazing activities, beach walks, beautiful sound healing, amazing tea ceremonies with a very special person that grows all these exotic teas. That's Persian, but she lives in the Catskills, and she has just gorgeous tea.
Close to the beach. They are close to the beach, so you can
beach walks. Amazing chef. I will say the food is delicious, but it's not plentiful.
I thought now this is the one place I have been to. I thought it was. I think they have increased the food quantity. For me to say, it was definitely plentiful, and the snacks they had in the room, the healthy snacks, were extraordinary. So you can add the snacks on top of the meals.
Yeah. The first time I went, I was like, I'm kind of hungry. Everything I ate was amazing, but I could have 5 plates of this. But no, it's good. And then some of the rooms have these beautiful wooden Japanese tubs, and they, give you this whole protocol for soaking in the Japanese wooden tubs. So something to keep in mind for clients that want a driving place. It's a little hard.
I put it in the chat just so everyone has it.
Sugiban House. Yeah, 4 words. Yeah.
I will mention too, they were on another webinar we did on hydration. And yeah, their water is the best quality of water in the world. So if you're drinking their water, experiencing any of their treatments, they have the 4th state of water. They were on our hydration call.
Oh, nice. I didn't even know that. That's great.
Yeah, so they worked with the Hydration Foundation to develop that.
Wow, that's amazing. Good to know. I didn't know that. Thanks so much. Yes, Linda Sargent, Sugiban House is fine for couples. In fact, it's quite a romantic spot, even though I was there alone. And I do know that a lot of people are leaving us because we're close to the end, and everybody's off to other webinars and yoga and all sorts of other places. So I don't want to miss the opportunity to get to thank everyone for joining us, and thank JoAnn especially for taking the time to be with us. I so appreciate the fact that you would do that. And Stephanie, you do an extraordinary job of setting these up, and you do many of these every week. So this is just one of how many? are you doing?
1 at 6 this week. We keep growing. So we have another one at 2, which is increasing your profits and telling your story well. So if anybody wants to join at 2, I put the link in the chat. And then Sallie is taking a much needed break next week to enjoy her family. So
but I'll come back the week after if we're still locked in and there is anybody wants to travel, plan, and dream. We can come back, but maybe we'll all be traveling by then. I don't know. Maybe not me because I'm in New York. But one can hope.
We have lined up another presenter, which is Rico from STR. So he will be giving all kinds of statistical information on real-time data of who's booking travel, what hotels are open, and what different regions throughout the world are doing. So I just wanted to plug that.
That's great. That sounds great.
Same time.
Yeah. Tell me in. Anyway, I think we're just about out of time. But again, thank you so much for travel, dreaming, and planning with us. And I hope to see you guys on the road somewhere soon.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Bye. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.